Hello, everybody. We are going to continue with the activities about Unit 7, which is the multimodal and intermodal unit. Okay, in Activity 10, we have a question, and the question is, what is a UTI, and what are the three main types? Okay, actually, UTI means Unidad de Transporte Intermodal, so at the end, we have intermodal transport units. So at the end, intermodal transport units, UTIs, are the cargo units that can be adapted, that can be actually placed in different modes or means of transport without cargo break. First of all, we have the containers. All of us, we know what is a container and its types, TEU, FEU, and apart from that, the refrigerated, the closed box, hopper, etc., tank container. Then we have caja móvil, swap body. So sometimes we can't leave a truck with a container being loaded. So at the end, we need a kind of container with legs, okay, in order to simplify operations, for example, in the warehouses gates. So as a result, we have this caja móvil, the swap body. If you think about the third one, this is a road semi-trailer, which is more or less a kind of swap body, but on the other hand, it has wheels. So in the front part, this road semi-trailer has legs, and in the rear part has actually wheels. Activity 11, describe the multimodal transport system combinations. Okay, we have different combinations. Some of them, they are okay. Some of them, they are not quite okay. The first one is road C, which is quite normal, quite okay. At the end, you can think, for example, a container being transported in a platform truck, and then this container is moved to a sea. Or on the other hand, we have the ro-ro cargo, roll-on, roll-off, carga rodada. Then we have road air, which is not okay because at the end, we have a container that should be actually unloaded in the airport, and the merchandise should be placed into unit loading device, into ULDs, and at the end, as a result, after the flight, we have actually to place the cargo of the ULDs, okay, inside another container or truck again. So at the end, this is not okay. Then we have road rail, which is quite normal. You must think, for example, the accompanied and unaccompanied actually systems. Accompanied means that the vehicle, the truck, goes into the rail platform, and unaccompanied means that we are only going to leave the cargo unit. In here, we can think about the channel tunnel, okay, that we will see in the following activity. Then maritime rail, this is quite common, quite important, and as a result, we have dry ports. Rail air is not okay because at the end we should transport ULDs in platform wagons. So at the end this is not okay because what happens is that the costs increase quite a lot. Then maritime air is difficult, okay, even we are trying to invest in that kind of combination, but at the end it is only okay if we have infrastructure. So if I have to choose, I would say that road sea is okay, it's perfect okay, road rail it's okay and perfect okay, and maritime rail it's a good combination as well. And we can of course combine road, sea, and rail. It's like a kind of mix, but it would be okay. It would work because we have infrastructure and experience. The channel tunnel is a kind of tunnel, or at the end, actually three tunnels together that are under the waters of the Atlantic Sea between Le Pas-de-Calais in France and Dover in the United Kingdom. So as you can see, we have a combination of three tunnels, but we have trains just in two of them. So actually, in the right one, sorry, we have the Eurostar, which is usually for merchandise, and then we have in the left side we have the actually channel tunnel for passengers. We have a train, and actually, well, in case something happens, both trains are connected to a middle service tunnel, which is, well, at the end it has roads and vehicles can access. But this service tunnel, which is in the middle, is just used in case of emergency. And of course, in the upper part, as you can see, we have not a tunnel, but a kind of conduct. This conduct is just for managing the pressure. 13. What is an OTM? Define its functions and the rule that defines this figure. Okay, the OTM is an Operador de Transporte multimodal transport operator, and this figure, because it is not an agent, is actually regulated in the 1990 Geneva Convention. An OTM is a person, okay, actually a legal person or physical person, which is usually a shipping company, a freight forwarding company, okay, or a big railway operator. It's just a kind of figure that lets you perform a multimodal transport operation door to door. They are going to simplify the operation. They are going to issue you just one single document, just one single contract. Okay, so at the end, well, the only thing that you have to do is to pay them, and that's all. They are going to assume responsibility during the whole operation, and at the end, of course, as much more modes of transport, more difficulties to the operation, the insurance premiums, las primas de seguro, they are really expensive. That's why just big shipping companies, railway operators, or freight forwarding companies are the ones that have this status. In activity 14, we have a role playing, and at the end, we have to choose, or actually, we must choose a multimodal transport operator, and then we should explain the things that we should consider in order to, well, actually make a better decision. Well, at the end, the basic thing about the multimodal transport operator is that this operator must offer us a door-to-door service, and then they should be inscribed or actually, well, enrolled to FIATA, which is the International Federation of Freight Forwarders. Okay, as a result, if they are going to perform an entire transport operation combining different modes, they should know all of them. They should master all of them. Of course, they should actually know the regulation and actually the specific requirements for specific merchandise, as for example, dangerous or hazardous goods or perishable merchandise. Of course, they should know at the end the main network and the main connections of the different modes of transport, the legal regimes and requirement of each mode of transport. So at the end, if they are going to combine road, air, maritime and rail transport, they should know, well, the Hackney rules, the Montreal Convention, etc. Then, well, they should have an idea, they should actually really know how Incoterms work, okay, how custom procedures are, and of course they should have IT technologies or actually softwares that let their work to be easier, and of course they should master or know how the insurance coverage work. In activity 15, we are being asked if, well, if we know any specific regulation for multimodal transport. And the truth is not. We don't have any specific regulation just for multimodal transport, okay? So at the end, well, if we don't have an international rule, we have two main problems. The first one is that, well, we don't know until which point the OTM has liability for its actions. No sabemos hasta qué punto van las responsabilidades del OTM. And on the other hand, if we can't identify in which mode of transport the sinister has happened in case of sinister, this is really difficult to solve a situation. Si ocurre algún siniestro, sería muy difícil resolver cómo actuar si no podemos identificar en qué modo o medio ha ocurrido. As a result of the previous activity, right now we have to mention the non-specific regulation for multimodal transport. First of all, we must mention that the United Nations Convention on International Multimodal Transport, they try to settle and fix an intermodal and international multimodal transport regulation feeded, alimentada by two simple rules, which is the Geneva Convention and the United Nations Convention on Trade and Development. As a result, it has not been ratified because different countries, or actually the total nations, they don't agree until which point the liability responsibilities of the OTM should take place. Okay? Well, so we are not using the United Nations Convention on International Multimodal Transport, but what we are using are, well, the original rules, which are the Geneva Convention and the UNCTAD. Apart from that, of course, we always pay attention to the International Chamber of Commerce advices related to multimodal transport. In activity 17, we have to answer what is the FIATA bill of lading, who manages this model, and if it is the unique multimodal transport contract. Okay, first of all, the FIATA bill of lading is the multimodal transport contract bill of lading, and this is not official, okay? I mean, there is no a specific regulation that actually regulates the multimodal transport document or contract. On the other hand, the FIATA, Federación Internacional de las Asociaciones Transitarios y Asociados, which is in French, okay, they created a standard model that has been accepted by the different nations of the world, and actually it's like the common document in case of doing multimodal operations. At the end, this FIATA bill of lading makes the freight forwarder to act as a carrier because they are going to manage the entire transport operation. Okay, and of course, if you want to use another multimodal bill of lading, you are able to do that. But the only thing is that, well, FIATA has universal standards. So at the end, all countries, all companies, they know their model, so it's more trustable. La gente suele confiar más en este tipo de documento estándar, sobre todo por las y los profesionales del sector. And at the end, as I told you, as we don't have a specific regulation for that contract, what did FIATA is actually to place some information about the regulation of this contract, which comes from the United Nations Convention on Trade and Development and the International Chamber of Commerce rules. Apart from the FIATA bill of lading, we have two more specific documents, okay, which are really useful when we are performing or doing multimodal operations. The first one is the forwarding agent certificate of receipt. This document, it is issued, está emitido by a freight forwarding company, and actually what they do is to confirm that the merchandise has been received by them. It is like a proof of receipt of the merchandise, okay? And then we have another one, which is the forwarding certificate of transport. And at the end, well, that's the document that lets the freight forwarder transport the merchandise, or actually the document that the freight forwarding companies, they sign when they accept the merchandise to be transported. Of course, this is quite strange and quite simple, but they are really useful. Because at the end, what they prove is that the shipper or the seller has left the merchandise to the freight forwarding company. And if you are using an ex works or a free carrying Incoterm where the buyer or when the buyer should actually be in charge of the whole procedure, well, this document indicates the freedom of liabilities of the seller, so actually the freedom point for the seller, and as a result, the seller can ask for the payment or actually, well, sleep much more calm. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found those activities really interesting, and in case you need something, you can always contact me.